Welcome to another weekly episode of Marked Out Radio. We are the premier podcast focused on the hobby of collecting autographs and photo ops from celebrities. We talk about autograph conventions, on-the-street encounters, and everything else about the hobby. I'm Sean.
And I'm Dana.
And we had quite a few posts take off this week on the Marked Out autograph collecting community on Facebook. In fact, we had two posts about an incident that happened at the Wrestlecon convention in Las Vegas. Apparently, there was some kind of sexual harassment / sexual assault incident that occurred with former WWE superstar Cora Jade.
Yeah. Apparently, she was groped during a photo op at her table. I'm not sure where she was groped, or I'm not sure if it matters where she was groped, but she was groped allegedly by the fan that she recorded. She chased after him and recorded him and then was cursing him out, giving him the finger. And there are two posts because Anthony made a great post about it. And then I went and looked on her Twitter myself and I saw that there was a video. And of course, we needed the video as well because I had a feeling both could go some degree of viral. So I posted the video and then her little follow-up comments. I guess people were shaming her in the comments.
I noticed that it was, these kinds of posts attract all kinds of creatures to the group and to the posts. I was deleting posts left and right. There were lots of people sort of wondering and accusing of her of just making it up. And I don't know, maybe it's just me, but you take one look at the guy and you're like, oh, come on. You look at his dead stare, his vacant eyes, you know right away. What is this? I mean, this girl's there to make, at the end of the day, this girl's there to make money. And you're not making any money if you're reporting people to the cops. It's very obvious to me anyway. It was very clear that he did something to her, and so it really is. And it really, just as it's very strange for me to see people whose first impulse it is to defend a con or a promoter when they obviously do something wrong. It's just as maybe even more strange when you see someone do something very obviously wrong and you want to rush online to defend them or cast doubt on what happened. I find that very strange. Did you notice that happening?
Yeah, there's always that sort of volley back and forth with issues like this, where you have the people that very clearly hate women that have, I'm sure, a lifetime of just rejection and just being treated cruelly by the opposite sex, and it's sort of the making of a serial killer in a lot of cases. I'm not saying every comment like that was from a potential serial killer. But it's that same psychology where they're just so angry about rejection that they just want to see women suffer. And I think that's largely what a lot of it is. And I mean, I don't see any real reason to think she'd be lying. I made a point that I don't think was well received by one person, and there is no defense. But I don't really know if this is something that the average talent is quitting signings over. I venture to say what happened to her yesterday, which was, I'm sure, awful and completely inexcusable, has happened to Tammy Sitch in her decades on the circuit. I'm sure it has. And
most women will tell stories about people getting a little bit handsy.
Yeah. Again, that shouldn't be the case. I'm not saying in the sense all right, suck it up and deal with it, because it shouldn't happen. It shouldn't happen for the men like Jared Padalecki, who I'm sure get groped and fondled just the same. It shouldn't happen, period. But people are sick and depraved. And Cora Jade's apparently making bank from her side hustle. And she also has had issues with mental health. So perhaps she is the exception. Maybe she is so turned off by this she will stop. But I don't think the average woman making money on the con circuit is going to stop because her ass was grabbed, assuming that's what it was. It shouldn't happen. They shouldn't have to deal with it. But for a lot of these women, this is their income. Are you going to quit your job as a waitress because someone grabs your ass? No, you're going to press charges. You're going to hopefully get them in trouble, and you're going to keep making money to support your life because that's what you have to do. So I don't think it's going to be catastrophic to the industry like some people were acting. But it's always interesting to see the people that like why would anyone defend this guy? Like you
It's
said,
definitely
you
the
look at
ugly
him.
side. It's definitely the ugly side of the hobby when people are like, "Oh, this means we're not gonna have signings like this anymore." And it's like that's what you're thinking about. Like I don't know. At the end of the day, the hobby is something that's frivolous. It's fun. It's not serious. And if you have, someone who is getting like actually sexually assaulted, I mean, the way she reacted makes me believe that it was something more than just the back of his hand grazing her ass. You know what I mean? Um, it's just because again, we've been to a lot of conventions. And women at these conventions, you chat them up for 5 minutes like a human being, and they'll tell you how fans behave towards them. There's a lot of creepiness. And her reaction just seemed like this was more than that. That this was something more serious. And so, if that's the case, I think that, a little bit of deference is due to her perception of what happened. You're supposed to be like, all right, yeah, I'm taking your word for this here, but and not right away say, oh, this is going to end conventions or this is going to stop appearances. Like if that's what the first thing that goes through your head, that's just something I can't relate to.
I think you can relate to it. Come on, when someone gets sick or someone dies, in this, granted it's a joke sometimes, but I mean,
it is a joke. Come on, it's a joke. It's a joke.
So when Bill Paxton died, you did not first think about your failed photo op. That wasn't your first thought.
No, not at all.
I believe that. Well, I'll say it right now. When someone dies, that's my first thought. It's my second thought and my third. That's what I think about.
No,
I don't know these people.
I mean, first of all, the missed photo op was years before his death. There really was no. I mean, I think about it now. It's funny to me.
I think your missed photo op was my first thought when he died. Forget about being yours.
No.
That was the first thing through my thought. I'm like, oh my god, he's never gonna get him.
No, that's not. That is not the first thing that goes. Truly, that's not. I mean, if that were
you're
the case,
better than me. You're better than me. I don't defend any of these people trying to defend the guy. I think that's crazy. I think her assault definitely deserves focus and being treated seriously. And I think this guy should be charged and banned and all of those things. And anyone that does it should be charged and banned. But I don't begrudge the fans whose first thought is, how does this affect me and my combos going forward? Because ultimately, I mean, this is not the Law and Order SVU podcast. This is us talking about the hobby. So you have to always sort of spin it back to how things affect the hobby, even if that seems psychologically flawed because it's not important.
No, I get it. I understand that, but this is largely shtick, right? I mean, come on, like we're talking about, we're filtering everything through the lens of the hobby, but that doesn't mean in my actual daily existence that is how I filter everything that I see. I mean, and this is the context of what we're doing here, that's why when you look at let's put it this way, when you see our regulars, the people we know on the board, were responding to this, they responded a different way from the freaks who just ran in, who never joined the group or anything. You know what I mean?
No, I agree with that, but I'm saying, like, I'm being real when I say if a celebrity dies tomorrow, that my first thought is my combo needs or what I have, if I want to sell something, if I want to keep something, if I regret not having something. That is my first reaction. That's not shtick. That is real. Maybe it should be shtick for my sanity, but it's not. I agree with you that, like, those of us that are a part of this community react and respond a little differently than the people that just pop in out of nowhere. That's a little bit more deranged. I agree.
So what else happened on the board? You posted a video of, so this is, in case anyone doesn't know who listens to this is Wrestlemania weekend. So I imagine there'll be a lot of wrestling content coming up in the next week or two. And there was a video that kind of there was a little bit of buzz about it of Randy Orton arriving at the Wrestlemania hotel. And it was absolute mayhem with all kinds of, there were lots and lots of characters there in that hotel lobby trying to get Randy Orton to stop. And it was a zoo.
Yeah, as it should be at WrestleMania. They booked a hotel that's got a casino attached to it. You have the graphers, you have the dealers, you have the random selfie freaks. You got everywhere you go in something like this, you're always going to find a cluster of the Asian tourists that are just omnipresent, and you have other gawkers, and that's what it is. If WWE is booking a hotel that has, like, the lobby is essentially a public casino, that's going to happen. And I get all the arguments and the people saying, oh, just show respect. He's coming from here. He's coming from there. Just let him get to his room. Sure, that's fine. I get it. But I mean, the hobby is not respectful. People do through the mail to people's homes. That's what they do. People weren't respectful with Sinatra back in the day. People weren't respectful. That's just what it is. That's the price of fame. Randy owed people nothing, and if he wanted to do nothing, great. I think it was actually the right thing to do since he had just returned from a paid appearance. That's a big FU to the people paying if you're going to go give it away right after. So, props to Randy for doing nothing, but I don't share the anger people have, like, how dare they ask? I wouldn't care. I don't care where someone's coming from. If I see Brad Pitt coming back from a funeral and I walk into him and I see him, I'm asking him. It's my only chance in that moment. I don't care if it's right or wrong. I'm doing it. And if I don't get it, oh well. I'm not going to go make a post cursing him out, but you bet your ass I'm going to try. So I don't begrudge anyone for trying, and I don't begrudge Randy for denying.
Yeah, I don't really have a strong opinion on this at this point. We've talked about it a lot. I personally wouldn't feel comfortable in an environment like that. I would not go to one of those hotels and hang out in the lobby like that. It would be a lot for me. It would be a lot for me to deal with those people, because those people, I don't like being around them. I'm
sure if you look at the people that were there, I'm sure they have very little of value. I'm sure a lot of the photos are bad. It's like, it's just not worth it. It's a bad spot. You're better off going. At this point, WWE World is so accessible. Everyone is there. If you had enough bankroll to get to Vegas, then, readjust some of your finances and buy the people you want at WWE World. Everyone was on the menu. Everyone. So I have no sympathy for the people that want them for free when you can pay for them all. But, I mean, I don't get mad about it. It's whatever. That's the hustle.
Kind of a funny post that I'm going to be honest. The way that people responded to this annoyed the hell out of me.
Yeah, so they're morons.
The little rat, Zach Linder did I thought it was a fantastic post. I was laughing out loud at it about his experience at the Beckett open call. So basically you'll see these ads once in a while that Beckett will have an open submission where you go to a hotel somewhere and they'll do, Beckett submissions for you at the hotel, so you don't have to mail things in. And I'm not going to lie, I have been tempted in the past to attend one of these. And Zach gave a report of his, and I thought in Zach fashion, look, I think if nothing else, Zach is a very, very consistent person, right? He is what I think most people would agree to be high maintenance, but he's also fair and direct. So he states his expectations, and he's also willing to work with people, but he also is one of those people that if you offer something for a price and then you don't deliver that thing, he's not afraid to be direct and open about what you didn't deliver on. And so the gist of the story is he went to this open call for Beckett. He left his items there. They told him it would be an hour. 2 hours later, they hadn't done them yet. So then they rushed to do them. Then they weren't stickered. Then they re-stickered them, but they were stickered in the wrong spot. And it was just this sort of general chaos. And of course, then you get the people who say, oh, you're writing a post about, who cares if someone is, where they sticker the item. But you're missing the larger point, which is if the reason why one would go to an event like that, as opposed to dropping stuff off at a table or mailing it in, is because there's some degree of control in an environment like that. And so you want to make sure things are done the right way. This is a little bit more time involved in driving there, dropping it off, hanging out, and so on. You would expect the environment to be more controlled as opposed to less.
Yeah, that's fair. And I think Zach would be the first person to say he's high maintenance. And I think in a lot of cases, he's right. And the reaction is silly from the people who read the report because, like you said, you go to one of these things to sort of be in more control of the process. You want to have confidence your item is being handled with care. It's not going to get lost. Like all of these things. That's why you do this. That's why he spent his afternoon with his son to do this. And when you get an experience that is just haphazard and just feels kind of clustery, like I don't really know why they would expect him to not have that reaction.
Yeah, I mean, people are out of their minds. I'm discovering this more and more about the Facebook group, is that there are certain people who post, a large number of people who post just to troll, just to disagree, that they have no substantive disagreement, and they want to disagree anyway, and I just don't understand it, but here we are. This is the world we live in.
Yeah, I think I actually I have no problem with people disagreeing, but there are those people, and there was one guy last night that his entire point was like, back to the airport graphers and the hotel graphers, was that they should be imprisoned and castrated, and I looked back on his post history, and like it was just a long line of you deleted this and I deleted that, and like there's like nothing he's ever posted remained. It was all like trolling, pot stirring crap, and I ended up blocking him. And I think it's going to get to a point with that where it's fine if someone disagrees. That's completely fine. But for some of these people, their only purpose in the community is to just sort of disagree and to just cause like dissension. And that's toxic, and that's ridiculous. There are people that disagreed with Little Rat's report that weren't like that, but there's some that's their pattern. That's all they do. And I agree with you. It's a little weird. But there's also the part of the community in the Facebook group, especially, where the people, they're all operating under the sense of like, I think the guy's name was Carl. So they all want to sort of operate as if Carl is reading this post, which honestly, Carl probably is reading this post, because I mean, the marked out autograph collecting community's got a little bit of juice. And, whoever you make a post about, it's big enough, it gets to them. And they all want to be like, oh, Carl's the greatest guy. Carl had sex with my wife 6 months ago, but he took out the garbage after. I love Carl. Like, what do you think Carl's going to do? Is he going to give you an extra special sticker? Is he going to put a sticker on your ass when you see him next? Like, who cares if Carl knows you're defending him? But that's what people want. I've known Carl 15 years. He's great. I don't care if Carl saved your kid from a fire. If Carl did a shitty job for Zach, I mean, it's irrelevant. It doesn't matter. It's the people that say, oh, I never had a problem like that. Okay, who cares? That doesn't negate this.
Totally. Again, it's funny how a lot of the things that we end up talking about are like weird internet culture stuff that's not even really connected to the hobby, but the way that people post is very strange, and I'll never really kind of get used to it. That I agree with you in the sense that I don't mind disagreement. I have no problem with disagreement. I just ask that the disagreement be substantive. If it's just to say, oh, this is dumb, or why are you wasting our time posting this? That's not substantive. It's nonsense.
Yeah, disagree with him on a point and then make your point. That's fine. That's discussion.
And with something like Zach, though, in Zach's post, it's kind of hard to disagree because he posts with excruciating detail. And so there's nothing, like, it's very clear what factually occurred. And yeah. I mean, I guess you can argue that someone doesn't owe you customer service. That is an argument to be made. I don't think it's a particularly good one, but whatever. So in any case, Zach, thank you for your reports. Keep doing them. I thought it was really funny. I laughed at it. It was very much like a Curb Your Enthusiasm episode. You're promised something and you don't get it, and so you have outrage in public about it. That's Curb. And,
and my last point on it. Sometimes I wonder if I'm like subconsciously biased because I'm friends with Zach, but I don't think I am. I think just our minds are similar enough where I see that when he makes a point like this, I see it. And I don't really understand how people don't. And I mean, but that's the beauty of the internet.
Yeah, it is. There was another post that did really well. That was really interesting, I thought, about asking the question, what wrestlers are left that haven't done cons? I mean, this past big event, someone brought up, they had Martel and Morocco out who haven't done cons in a really long time. High Spots had Nails out not that long ago who had never done cons. The pool is very, very shallow now for people who haven't done cons in wrestling.
Yeah.
I thought it was. And what's funny is most of the people were using names that just aren't going to come out, like Sable.
Yeah. There's one name I forgot about, and I didn't post it. I'm going to share it here. I'm sure Big Event is. I mean, they must already have things in motion already for November. I haven't spoken to Tom in a minute, but Michelle McCool should be on that list. She has done, to my knowledge, nothing outside of a WWE like fan access type of appearance, which is kind of bizarre since Taker does quite a bit. I think Big Event at some point, or anyone, but I mean, selfishly, Big Event should get a Taker, a Michelle McCool booking going at some point. Taker isn't fresh, but he's always in demand. And honestly, he hasn't been around in a minute around here, really. And Michelle McCool's as fresh as they come. That, I mean, I'm not saying Michelle would be Rick Martel level impact, but the names like Rick Martel are just not a ton. So you got to start getting creative.
The issue with these kinds of names, I do think Michelle McCool falls under that heading. The amount that it would cost to get her out, you're not going to recoup it.
Well, I mean, to be fair, you said that, and I didn't really disagree with you. So I'll put both of us on that with Martel. We thought Martel was a no-go, and the price is too high. The price they're paying must be too high. And we are both in agreement that I think Tom is as green as Kermit right now on Rick Martel. So maybe we're underestimating what Michelle McCool would do, or we're overestimating what her price is.
If that's the case, then it would have been done already. You know what I mean?
Same could have been said for Martel.
Well, no, I think I think they knew what the price was, and no one was willing to pay it until Tom did.
But maybe Tom's the guy from McCool, and he'll make that work as well. Maybe the line will be wrapped around the track twice over.
I don't think. I mean, I think you're just trying to be difficult right now. I don't think you actually believe that McCool would draw anything.
Oh no, I believe she would draw. I started my point by saying I don't think she would be a Rick Martel. I agree with that, and I am being difficult a little bit. I hope I'm being somewhat, substantive in my difficult responses here. But yeah, I want to see her, and I got stuff for Taker, and I don't think I'm going to deal with it at Fanatics. But I mean, I got to get a Hasbro done. I got to get a Bone Cruncher Series 1 done. I got a lot of crap for Taker. So I mean, if Tom brought Taker in, I would get myself a better rate than I'd get from other people. So selfishly, I want the Taker family to come in.
Not for me, for sure. Definitely not for me.
You're all done with Take?
Absolutely. I don't have any autographs of Takers anymore. I sold them all. No, not true. I have the Classic Superstars 2-pack Undertaker Paul Bearer. And I have the 3 Faces of Taker, 2 Classic Superstars. So what else do I need?
Fair. I can't disagree.
All the other stuff. I mean, I got a bunch of stuff sold in Florida. I got a bunch of stuff signed in Florida that time. I sold it all back when buy low, sell high. And then the final thing to talk about on the board was so this is a weird thing, and this is why we constantly joke about the combo gods, and it does get a little bit tiresome hearing the same thing all over again. But it is kind of funny that we were discussing this idea of purposely turning down a combo when you're out in work, or you're in some kind of other socially inappropriate situation, and we had discussed it for a while, and I decided to make a post about it. And I brought up that it's happened a bunch of times while I was doing work functions that I could have pursued a combo in a particular circumstance, and I chose not to, and because I thought that would just be weird, or would look weird at work, and see kind of what other people had, what people's thoughts were on this. And what's funny is so many people just either misinterpreted the question or just don't understand what I was talking about. I was talking about like purposely turning something down because you thought that pursuing it in the moment would have been like socially inappropriate. And so I have a couple of examples that I'll speak to directly. So about a year ago, I was at a work function. Well, it was a work function. Just putting it. It was a conference, and the keynote speaker at the conference was Joe Biden. And there was a window of time where I could have run off and probably got at least a photo with Joe Biden. And I didn't, because that would have it would have drawn attention to me in a way that I didn't want attention drawn to me. So I didn't do it.
I'm shaking my head right now.
I believe you. And so that's what I was talking about. Where you turn it down on purpose, not something like, oh, you had to, a funeral to go to or something like that. This was the thing where you're in the moment. You see the person is standing before you, and you turn it down. So, for example, I mean, there are some really bad examples here. Like, I remember years and years ago, I was in the city for a job interview, and I was walking through the streets, and I was wearing a suit, and I was nervous, and I walked through. I don't know. It had to be they were filming a commercial or something. I don't even know. But I ran into Jerry Orbach from Law and Order, and I love Law and Order, and I love Jerry Orbach, and I kind of froze and didn't know what to do, and I was like, I'm going to a job interview, and I kind of just in my head talked myself out of doing anything in that moment, and then just walked away. So yeah, I've had experience like this. There was the time when I went on a field trip to a film festival, and who was there but Sidney Lumet, the director of 12 Angry Men and Dog Day Afternoon. Easily could have pursued a combo there and did not as well because of what I perceived as the social impropriety of it. So what ended up happening was I post this thing. I happened to be on a field trip for work this weekend. We are in the middle of getting, kids on the bus to go to a different location. And who walks by? Seth Meyers, from the late night TV show. And I did not pursue the combo as well.
Listen, combo gods, I am not affiliated with any of this. Blatant disrespect. Please, when you shoot your arrows and lightning bolts Sean's way, avoid me. This is crazy. You have kids. You could have dragged the kid up to see Biden, and then you could have blamed it on the kid. You're not getting fired for this, and who's judging you? Who cares? I would have turned down nothing. Every situation you're describing, I would have been gung-ho running.
But I think part of it has to do with the way you want yourself to be perceived in a work environment, right?
I couldn't care less. I am me 24/7.
That is clear. That is crystal clear. I think that is something that I would never call into question. I don't think that's necessarily true though, because like when you had that conversation with your superintendent about Hulk Hogan, you felt a little weird about it.
I felt weird about it, but I'll still crack jokes about Hulk Hogan autographs till this day. I just, it was just the idea that like an hour before that conversation, I was not expecting Hulk Hogan to come up in such a way. But I mean, I don't really, I've never been in that situation, but I am confident I would react with complete lack of regard for any sort of societal judgment when I would see Joe Biden or Seth Meyers or any of these people. I think you're probably far more in tune with normal society, but I as Popeye once said, I am what I am. I can't help myself.
Yeah, I guess that's what it is. But it never occurred to, even with Seth Meyers, it didn't occur to me that I should like abandon my post and run over and get the op with Seth Meyers. If I'm being candid, it never occurred to me. It made me laugh knowing that there was an active post on the group about this very topic.
I mean, Seth Meyers is Seth Meyers is the biggest deal in the world. I'm more shocked at the Biden thing. I feel like you could have given one of your kids like a moment of a lifetime there, or you could have made it for yourself. I wasn't there to see it though. I'm not sure what kind of window you had. Could you have brought a kid with you?
No, it was not like that. No, because it was more like there were ops being done for certain VIPs, and there was a way to weasel yourself easily into that cohort. And I had a group of 50 kids that I was in charge of. 50. So it wasn't like I could just grab one.
I would have told the kids and the people I was with, I'm going to go over there and see if I can make something happen. And I would have tried to make nothing happen. I would have just weaseled my way in, and I would have come back and be like, oh man, I got rejected. They didn't have the time. Sorry. And I would have gotten mine. That's how I would have played it, which is not normal. I am aware, but you would have had the photo op with Biden.
Well, in any case, I don't. As a result of that, so yes, and then you were making all kinds of wild arguments that because I posted this, that is the reason why the Mr. T announcement was made that we'll talk about later on. It's all kinds of crazy stuff.
I'm going to be completely honest. We try to sell the T-shirts, and it's funny. And as a Catholic man, I don't really believe in in polytheistic deities, but I kind of believe in the combo gods. I'm not going to lie. I've seen enough moving and shaking going on here where hold on, there's something going on. And I don't taunt or tempt the combo gods. I do not. And that's what you've been doing. You've been doing it a little too much lately. And the combo gods are showing you that they're not just on PWTs. They are watching, and those Sharpies with lightning bolts are waiting.
Yeah, it's funny. It's taken on a life of its own, this idea. So, bunch of reports this week. I saw that Lou hit the Knicks playoff palooza at Central Park Summer Stage. He got Marcus Camby and Larry Johnson. How come you didn't go to that?
I don't know. I had too much going on yesterday, and I ended up I botched everything. I really did. I wanted to get yard work done, and the Long Island Ducks were having their fan fest. And with the old ownership, the autograph signing used to be VIP season ticket holders only. So I'm like, yeah, whatever. I'm going to go later, catch the game. Did my yard work. Turned out that former MLB Cy Young Award winner Trevor Bauer was there and did a signing for 2 hours and did combos for everybody. And I was home doing yard work, which needed to get done, but I missed that. Then I also obviously missed Playoff Palooza. And yeah, I didn't get much done yesterday in terms of combos, but I prioritized some other stuff, which I guess is my way of tempting the combo gods. So, I'm not so innocent.
I don't understand, because you claim to be a fan of the Knicks, and you're getting basketball combos at Fanatics left and right, and you're turning down real Knicks names, like Marcus Camby, Latrell Sprewell. These are real names out there. They're not chumps. So what is that? And they were free. What the hell?
Oh, I hate the free. That's the thing. As you see, Lou was waiting after Camby. After he got Camby, they switched it for the Sprewell. And I hate that kind of stuff. I just want to get them when I know they're going to be there. And I'll get these guys eventually. Larry Johnson, I'm seeing this week, 15 minutes from home. And something tells me they're going to bring Camby and Sprewell out eventually, because there's this cluster of people that do these types of watch party events. And that, those are the last two I need. So I'll get them at my own speed. I just had family stuff yesterday, and I couldn't go into the city. So I'm jealous, but I hope I'm able to make it up.
The Little Rat posted a report about getting Amy Irving and Peter Reichert. There was a whole long... Peter Reichert was in a Law & Order arc that I liked. As usual, his reports are highly detailed and interesting. And he wound up he wound up with a combo imbalance. So did you notice that?
He did.
And he claims to not want photo ops, but he did lament the lack of the dual photo op and the combo imbalance in his report. So there is that.
I think for him it's a little, I can believe him largely, because he goes to cons and he doesn't get the photo op, which is a head scratcher to a degree, but that's what he does. And I went how many years just getting the photo op and not getting the autograph? Honestly, that was probably my most sane time, where I spent less and I accumulated less. And we all collect differently, but definitely a combo imbalance.
Tyler, went and got the Grand Ole Opry member John Conley. I wasn't too familiar until I looked up some of the songs. I actually know a bunch of them, so that's kind of neat when someone it's always interesting to me when someone drags a musician out of the mothballs. You're like, who the hell is that? And then you go look up what their songs, and I know a ton of their stuff, so it's kind of interesting. I thought Johnny's post was really cool, because it was really all over the place. He hit Matthew Modine, he got John Cameron Mitchell, then he did some skateboarders like Rodney Mullen. That was pretty cool too.
Yeah, that was all over the place. I like that. And it's funny, I saw Matthew Modine. He was at the Knick game the other night, and which he is often, but they honored him on the court. And I was thinking to myself, that is a con name if I ever saw one. He would do pretty well. And he
definitely a chiller top tier name.
Yeah,
right?
And he would be like a Chris Noth. I'm not even being sarcastic. He would be in that kind of realm. Maybe a little better, maybe a little worse. I would have to really look at his resume. and he's local to this Northeast area. Someone should get this done.
Zach Chiera did another book signing. He's kind of our book signing barometer. You know, he got Mark Harmon and Leon Carroll Jr. of NCIS. And there was also another book signing with Jenny Garth. How come you didn't even? None of these were even on my radar. Did you know about them?
Mark, here's how deranged I am. I've never seen an episode of NCIS, and I would venture to say I probably never will. There's like 7,000 of them, and I mean, it never seemed that interesting. I feel like there's other shows in that sort of genre that would interest me more. But seeing Mark Harmon, which I didn't know about in advance, I'm like, crap, I should have done that. And it's like, why should I have done that? I don't know why I should have done that, but I feel like I should have. And as for Jenny Garth, that was on my radar. I did hear about it, but I've never watched that show. And I don't know. Like, to me, having the guy from NCIS seems cooler than Jenny Garth. But after seeing Ira's Easy Time with Jenny Garth, I'm like, I should have done that as well. So I should have done both. I did neither. That's the theme of my week this week. I'm slacking off. I'm slacking off on the combos. They aren't going to get themselves.
Yeah, it is funny that you critique me for my decisions, but you made a bunch of decisions this week as well.
I mean, I didn't realize it until just now, but I agree.
Wicked Ink Wednesday. So it's always a treat when 16 times Mark Miller posts an autograph from his vast collection. We really get to see what he has. He had a fundraiser program, like a fundraiser from a program from a political fundraiser. That's what I was trying to say. Signed by President Eisenhower, Vice President at the time Nixon, Senator Barry Goldwater, and John Wayne. So just an absolutely insane piece. An insane piece. There's no other way to say. Extraordinary piece of history there. I thought it was funny because it spurred a little conversation. So Ed's been posting stuff every week now, right? He posted this one. It was a picture of boxer Ken Norton that Norton had given to him as a tip because Ed was his limo driver. And I think that's very funny because I've read stories like this where people give autographs as tips instead of money. That's such a brazen, like, deranged, demented behavior. In fact, I remember years ago reading a story about how Stallone had done that for his housekeepers. Instead of giving them a Christmas bonus, he gave them all autographed photos. This would have been in the 90s.
He's done a boxing glove.
But it really is a sick thing. It's a sick thing. And I got a huge kick out of it that this boxer, who, I mean, Ken Norton was a name, but not a name enough to be giving it. I mean, it's actually something that's totally socially unacceptable to give an autographed picture as a tip. You should be giving a higher tip.
I might make a marked out radio promo shot of myself. I'm going to carry it around with me. And for content, when I'm with you at these different socials, I'm going to give that as the tip. I'm going to sign it. I'll ask them if they want it personalized, and I can film their reaction and yours. And that's not a bad idea.
Who do I make this out to? Don't ask if they want it personalized. Assume that they want it personalized. I love those.
I don't want to see it on eBay, so I have to.
And then finally, Ken posted the set of all 4 Kiss Funkos signed. I know that, and of course, all the colors and whatnot, color markers, paint pens. I know that ran him a pretty penny. It's cool to see that set completed.
Now that was awesome. Did you run into Ken at Steel City last weekend? Because I usually do. That's like his stomping grounds, and I didn't see him.
Did not. Maybe he went a different day.
Maybe.
Well, no, wasn't that Paul Stanley event the same day as Steel City?
Oh yeah, because he said he couldn't come to the social because of. Oh, true. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I know a lot of people went to the Paul Stanley thing. Kiss is one of those things I don't really understand. I don't really get Kiss. That's all I have to really say about it. I don't get it. I don't understand why they have the devoted fandom that they have. But I'm also a little bit younger than the average. They
have
fan.
some catchy songs. Again, I'm not really a rock guy, so I mean, I probably don't really get the fandom of any of them. But I agree with you. I don't really know why or how it became like a cult, and I don't really mean that in a negative way. Although I'm not sure if there's a positive way to put
Oh,
that.
I do. I mean, there was years ago when Gene Simmons was selling a Kiss-themed coffin, and someone bought it. So that's deranged. That's ill.
That's also kind of badass. So, I mean, if we could sell marked out radio themed coffins and profit on them, wouldn't you? I'd sell them.
I mean, obviously sell them, sure, but who is buying that? Like, it's just a weird. And like to me, I'm of the belief though that if you take any one like pop culture thing and make that your whole entire identity, that's just a weird. It's a weird thing. Like part of being human is to have a diverse range of experiences, not to have one thing be your central identity. It's like, and everyone has a friend like who their whole identity is like being a Giants fan or whatever, and or being a Kiss fan. And like, those people are always like weirdos,
But you see, when you make fun of me for having like 45,000 different collections, and then I have too much stuff I'm doing and starting and keeping, that's just me being extra normal.
No, it's because you're like you don't like any of it. There's people who like things, and there's people who like nothing. You collect that, I believe, out of compulsion.
No, I like a lot, but not to that degree, I suppose. Some of it's probably for compulsion, not all of it.
A photo with Friday. There were some cool photos, I thought, some unique ones. Chris Collector posted his shot with the Clerks group at Kevin Smith's Secret Stash. For some reason, did you do that one reunion thing at Secret Stash, or you didn't?
I did. That's when I like ripped the signed poster off the rack, and I think I actually got it signed before I paid for it because I didn't have a chance to pay for it. And I ended up getting, which annoys me slightly, but like 1 or 2 signatures. I think they're actually invalid. They're in like Clerks 2, and they signed the Clerks 1 poster. That's what I had. And I at that point, I'll be honest, I didn't know which one they were because I only knew the main ones. And yeah, but I did.
Is that because you were such a big fan of it?
Yes. I had actually watched it like twice at that point, but I'm never the person that even my favorite movie, I can't give you a line from, not that this is my favorite movie, but I can't give you a line from Flubber. Like, I know people that can go back and forth lines and dialogue and this and this. Like, that's not how my mind works. I could watch something 10 times and I'm going to struggle to give you much dialogue back and forth. I don't know it like that. So, yeah, I knew the main stuff. And then when you see someone 30 years later that was in the movie for 5 minutes, I don't know who the hell they were in that moment.
Also, you saw Steven had posted his photo op getting murdered by the 2 ghost faces.
Yeah, that was really well done. I enjoyed that one.
That was sick. I really thought it was funny. And then Scott posted a shot with the full band Hailstorm, which is cool to see. So on to con and hobby news. So I got a huge kick out of the Ringo Starr thing. So just a little context for Ringo Starr. Ringo stopped signing autographs a few years back, probably close to a decade now. But the way he announced that he had stopped signing autographs was he released kind of this infamous video on YouTube where he's like, peace and love, I will no longer be signing autographs, peace and love. And they always used to play that that clip on the Howard Stern show, peace and love, because it's the most deranged. Ringo is a really deranged guy, and it's a really funny clip where he's trying to make it sound like he's doing fans a favor by not signing autographs anymore. It's just really funny. So anyway, that's like my context for Ringo, and I love that peace and love clip. I'm really tempted to like insert it here, but I just don't want to do the work, so I'm not going to. But look it up on YouTube. Maybe I'll attach the link to the show notes, this peace and love video. Anyway,
you ever attach the links when you say you're going to attach the links.
I know I do, but you just don't notice because you copy and paste the same thing.
That makes sense. You mean you don't update my stock thing on my Apple Notes?
I have in fact attached links sometimes. Anyway, so Ringo is doing. They're releasing another album, and through Talk Shop Live, if you purchase a Ringo Starr either CD or a vinyl, you have the chance at getting a signed print packaged with your order, but it doesn't say what that chance is.
I'll tell you what I love when I'm buying something that's autographed. I love having the chance of actually getting something autographed. That I love combining lotto and collectible purchases. That's a great mix.
So I would recommend not indulging in this, but I mean, I know we're going to see at some point someone posting on one of the groups a return with Ringo's signature on it. That's the way it goes. And to be fair to them, the price is not high. It's like $27. So if you really wanted that Ringo Starr vinyl, it's like, oh, you have the chance of buying it here. If you buy it at this retailer, there's a chance of it being signed. I guess if you're going to buy it anyway,
I would at least like them, even if it's going to be gimmicked and kayfabe, I would have at least like them to announce some sort of the odds. And I mean, I think you can I think that could tell you all you need to know if they're not giving you odds. There's probably a shockingly low number of things being mixed in. But if you're a gambler, if you're shooting your shot for some NBA playoff parlays this weekend, might as well try a Ringo one, I suppose. But I don't gamble. I waste my money on tangible goods that take up space in my house. That's what I do. That's my vice. So not for me.
In other news, we had lamented missing out on the Zayn Malik photo ops that were available at the Strand. Was it the Strand? No, it was the other one. It was Looney Tunes, and what was one in the city? Not the Strand. What's the other one?
He was doing Rough Trade.
That's the one.
And there was another one as well. Wasn't there two in the city?
Yeah, but it was one we never heard of. Yeah.
Yeah.
But anyway, Zayn is in the hospital and canceled all of his appearances.
Also, they are refunding, and there's not even a pretense of, we're going to reschedule. They're not. And that happens a lot with this caliber of honestly, even lesser caliber music stuff. A lot of these come and go. Mary J. Blige at Looney Tunes, to name one. This happens a lot, and I had no reason to want Zayn, none whatsoever. Just proximity to home and magnitude of celebrity. It felt like a good combination, and I was annoyed I missed it. And now I missed nothing. So the combo gods abide.
And there's lots of, I think he's in the hospital for some unannounced illness, but now there's lots of stories about he recently had some kind of meltdown. So who knows what the deal is with Zayn? Because he was slated for some big singles tour comeback thing, and that who knows what's going on with that. As a consequence of his match at WrestleMania last night, Cody Rhodes will not be doing his assigned photo ops and autographs today at WWE World, presumably because his eye is swollen shut. So that's kind of a lesson from Steve, right? Even when there's a guarantee, nothing is really guaranteed. As Steve would say, you never know.
It's true. Cody Rhodes took a legitimate punt, I guess. They caught him. And Cody doesn't cancel. I don't think he's ever canceled anything. He's a workhorse. So I suppose a lot of disappointed folks out there in Las Vegas.
Then kind of a weird cross-brand fiasco. Javon Evans showed up at Wrestlecon unannounced. He wasn't booked or anything. I guess he showed up as a fan, one might say. Was walking around, and I guess he had agreed to take photos with fans, but WWE security was not having it.
At least in that one instance I saw, Javon is happily posing, and the guard's hand is outstretched across the frame of the photo, and the fan's face is blocked by the guy's hand, which is honestly perfect aim. The guy did a good job, I guess, if that's what he wanted to do. But it's a little silly. This wasn't them chasing him through the hotel lobby, which is, if you're going to argue anywhere security should be, it should be there. Not with a guy in a public setting who agrees to take the photos. I saw Feinstein got one. Some fans and people in attendance got them. But that one guy at least was completely photo blocked by the security guard.
I thought it was weird that why would he have WWE security with him at WrestleCon? The whole thing is weird.
Yeah, I wonder if they're misspeaking on being WWE security, but why would he have security of any kind? If there was all the security at WrestleCon, they should have been hanging around Cora Jade.
Right.
instead of
And I mean,
Javon.
here's the thing. Let's be honest. When we did Wrestlecon in New Jersey last year, there was no security to be found. I don't remember any security.
I loved, we didn't even mention this. I'm going to throw this in right here. It kind of fits. I love the one idiot on the group yesterday who's not a member. That's the growing thing here. The smart, civilized people were smart enough to join the group, and the ones that are too dumb to join the group are just really dumb. And I'm going to make that a marked out thing, and not just that there's a lot of dumb people. But the one guy was like lecturing me how shows like this have security because he's been to one or two and he saw security. And I let him know that like we've brought talent to this very show and there's no security. If we wanted to, although honestly, we should have had security for Vanity Project because that no good, dirty, rotten Justin Dillon wouldn't have gotten his photo op if we had a full security detail following the Vanity
Him and that other. Don't forget that pig of a woman who got the photo op with Ricky Smokes.
Well, I don't know if any security could have handled all that humanity.
It's very true. I love the righteous indignation of her and what her husband, her son. You can never tell with these people, who's willing to stick it in what.
I think both.
Could be both. It. By the way, this is a game that we play at these cons. Are they a couple or are they mother and son? Is always a fun game to play when you're looking at con attendees. Try it sometime.
I couldn't believe the con attendees you asked me that question about last week, and I'm not going to say any more than that because it'll give something away. But that was a little more like real than I've had you hit. I actually felt a little bad.
It's sometimes you never really know.
It's fair.
So on to the actual cons that are going on. So Steel City for their when's their next con in the summer? August,
same weekend as Terrificon.
They added Christopher Lambert, so clearly he's doing a run.
Those wheelchair wheels are lubed up. He's traveling.
Jake Connolly for Stranger Things. That's the fat kid.
I'm so behind on Stranger Things. He is in fact a fat kid by the picture, but I don't know any significance of it.
And they also started announcing Carabono, who was on the poster. So they're actually announcing the poster names. So it looks like Steel City is doing its thing, getting ready for August. I'm nowhere near a yes on Steel City though.
I thought Graham was like kind of putting you out there in the strong maybe pile.
Not yet. We're not there yet. I need something that's gonna really, make move the needle for me. Really disappointing news coming out of Chiller Theater that Judd Hirsch is canceled and that James Cromwell, which has not been officially announced as canceled, is also canceled.
I don't think Judd Hirsch was officially announced either. The photo op guy said
the photo op guy announced it. He announced it.
Yeah, but he said the formal announcement is coming soon, which I mean kind of makes you wonder if it was actually going to be coming soon. Because I know some of these cons, not a Chiller exclusive thing, but some of these cons aren't the quickest to announce the cancellations, which the carny in me understands. I mean, if you turn away even one or two walk-ups because of that, that's money you could have made. But yeah, it's a blow. Judd Hirsch. I guess I'm back to I should have ventured up to like whatever the hell it was, Poughkeepsie, for that play. But honestly, I'd make the same decision today. That's a long drive for something that could go sideways. You have two doors. He could tell you to go F yourself. Like, I stand by not doing that. And that's why I don't have him. The people that did it do. And that's the game. But I'm a little squeamish in situations like that. Cromwell, I actually bought an item for Cromwell, so this is a little disappointing. But what are you going to do? They also added David LaBrava from Sons of Anarchy, who I do not need again. So whatever.
Hey, I'm going to be honest. This is a big blow to Chiller. These were two of their bigger names for this show.
Yeah, I mean, I always do in my head the Chill Out Chiller comparison, and Chill Out had the bigger magnitude names, but I felt like Chiller was really hanging. I think a certain type of collector could have argued for Chiller over Chill Out with these old men that they got out that were, rare. I know people like Greg 2600 will say, well, they're not that rare because they did this, and this on the street. But if you're not a regular street grapher, they're rare. This is a blow. This knocks the show. I'll be saving some money, but I mean it's definitely a little bit less exciting. And by a little bit, I mean quite a bit. Judd Hirsch and James Cromwell were possibly my top two, or at least among the top two. Top five.
Chris Noth is my top, but still they were in that. They were. I mean, Cromwell was my second.
And what this means. Like Judd Hirsch will die. This is not breaking news. I don't think I'm saying anything offensive. He's an old man. He will die, I'm sure, before he does another con. So if I don't catch him somewhere outside, like the Dr. Phil girl, I mean, it's done. Like I thought 2 days ago, I thought I was getting him. Now he's dead, basically, and that sucks.
Did you just make a bad baby joke?
I did, and I figured if I dropped the bad baby name, that some of our listeners wouldn't know. So I figured the Dr. Phil girl would make it more accessible for all. And now I have a laser disc of Babe. I mean, I don't know what I'm going to do with that. Perhaps I can sign it. And I'll sign it and I'll give it away as a tip. That's what I'll do.
Monster Mania Cherry Hill added a couple of names. Carl Lumbly as the other Dick O'Halloran from the Stephen King universe. And Tim Jacobus, who's a Goosebumps illustrator. Tim tends to go to shows where R.L. Stine is booked, so it would not surprise me if Dave got R.L. Stine for that show.
I would love to see R.L. Stine with a menu somewhere I am. He's on that list of people that I've had chances, I haven't made the effort, and then this has been a lot of bad luck. I need to finally get R.L. Stine.
Even when he does cons, his menu is weird, though. It's a weird menu.
Yeah. But I mean, he did the one up in White Plains was like, it was normal enough. You could pay for a photo op. You could get an autograph or two. It was doable. And then he did something out on Long Island that it was like a library. And I don't know, there was something about it was me being an idiot. Like I should have just went. I'm sure it was fine. I think I know it was fine. I just didn't go. I was afraid I wouldn't make it in time or whatever it was. It was quitter logic, and I didn't go. So hopefully, fingers crossed for RL to Cherry Hill.
Rhode Island Comic Con adds Josh Duhamel, so clearly he is doing a run. And Bill Morrison, who ran basically all of the Simpsons comics. So that's, I guess, part of their comics lineup. Terrificon with some decent names. They added Priscilla Presley, which is a big name for Terrificon. They also added Ian Cardoni and Harry Belden and Spencer Grammer from Rick and Morty. I mean, it's just adding these names from Rick and Morty is, I hate to say, but like a day late and a dollar short. Like no one cares about Rick and Morty anymore. It's rough. And they also added Maurice LaMarche from Pinky and the Brain. So I imagine what's his face will also get added because Rob Paulson will probably get added at some point because he always does.
He already is. All the turtles are there.
So that makes sense then for Maurice to get added. Like I mentioned before, Fan Expos Philly and Chicago have added Mr. T. I've said this for months that Fan Expo Philly is not in the cards for me. I cannot attend. So I remember originally it was like, oh, I'm missing the Hobbit photo op, like big deal. And then of course they go and they add Mr. T to a show that I cannot attend.
You know who can attend? Me. I will be there. I have locked in. Ira Nobler and I will be barreling across several states to do this. It has to happen.
Who's driving? Is that Ira or you?
Me. I'll drive. Yeah, I got to do it. I think I've settled on an autograph. I have that WrestleMania.
Really?
I have the WrestleMania 1 12x18 signed by the Hulkster. I have to.
Who else is it signed by?
I don't know, Tito, Wyndham, several
Oh my God.
people. In hindsight, if I knew I'd get Mr. T, I would have just kept it just Hulk and just gotten him and called it a day. But it is what it is.
That's the problem with these terrible projects, though. They have this beautiful piece that's like Hulk and Mr. T, and it's also Tito Santana and freaking whoever. And it's just
So I think I have to do that. I'm probably going to punt on my WrestleMania 2 program. I mean, I could get him on it with Piper since that was the match, but I didn't get Hulk. And I don't know. I probably will punt on that one. But I got to go, and I got to decide now if I'm doing anything Lord of the Rings, if I want any group op I don't have already. Probably not. Yeah. Are you going to do Chicago?
No.
Wow. You went to Chicago for that Japanese dude.
It wasn't that Japanese dude. It was Kawada, one of the big four from All Japan. So that's a very limited range of people I would go to. I also had accumulated items for Kawada, so it made sense for me to go to Chicago. I don't have anything for T, so it'd just be for the op. It's just a lot. I mean, look for Kawada. I think I told you this. I flew in, got the combo, and then left and just flew home. You know that, right?
Yeah, I think you were like texting me I remember you were like browsing the high spots, like merch and stuff. Yeah, I remember.
Yeah. So
you could do that now.
Here's the thing: it's not Wrestlecon, it's Fan Expo, where there's a lot more of a pain in the ass dealing with it.
True, you're just walking up to his table and just getting the op and turning around.
Right, which is what I did for Kawada. It was easy. Kawada was easy. Mr. T is gonna be a pain in the ass, and it'll be a lot more expensive because of what I paid to get into Wrestlecon, $20. This is gonna be a full $60 endeavor and the whole deal.
Would you do Fan Expo Boston? Because I think Stevie Wonder could see that Mr. T to Boston is a possibility.
I've done Fan Expo Boston before, and I depending on who else was there, maybe I would. Boston, I'm at least more willing to do. Chicago, I'd have to fly, which is the problem. Boston, you can drive.
Because I don't know. I don't know if Mr. T is going to really do any of these cities twice. I don't know if he's going to ever be on that kind of a run where he's like, I'm back for round 2 in Philly. I don't know. I feel like he might just do every city once, and that's sort of his run. I'm not sure. I don't even know if he's sure. But I wouldn't count on him coming back.
If I wind up not getting the op with Mr. T, I feel like I will survive. If it ends up not, I would like it. Not gonna lie, but I'm not gonna go crazy.
You might survive. It's a possibility. It might be a little touch and go for a second, but I think you'll make it.
What else we got going? Fan Expo Denver. You announces an all-encompassing X-Files reunion. What does that entail?
You have Duchovny and Gillian Anderson. You have Robert Patrick. You have the girl that like replaced Scully. You have the Smoking Man. You have Mitch Pileggi. It's arguably I couldn't really see anyone that's like active and alive that was missing, and it's a little bit wild. And technically, they all kind of exist within the same universe. It's not like there was any recast. It was just all new people. So if you got like a group op with like 12 different people, it's valid. And I'm not a big enough X-Files person that I'm getting on a plane, that's for sure. But I don't think I've ever seen an X-Files reunion like that. That's big and it has everything, and it's pretty sick.
They did a big one at NYCC that time. I mean, actually,
it had everybody though. Did it have Patrick? It had maybe.
I don't really count. I don't know. I have a whole thing.
You
with
should.
That.
You should.
No, I don't. I didn't watch his seasons. Was the issue?
Oh, is that's like I close my eyes and the world stops existing because I'm not seeing it. Like, come on, it happened. It's valid.
Yeah, no, but for entertainment, it doesn't. Like, I would never care about like the Jurassic Park 2 and Jurassic Park 3 stuff because those movies, in my opinion, didn't happen. They
stop
irrelevant.
They're bad, but they're fun. It's a dinosaur running around.
No.
I
have no desire for things I don't like. I don't like it. I'm not going to pursue it. That's it. I'm pretty consistent with that too.
Well, you just said a few things you don't like. You just didn't see it. How do you know if you like it?
Wait, I didn't watch it on purpose.
Oh, so you? It was a show.
Wasn't like I missed it.
You.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. I mean, I watched the original run. And that was it. I stopped when Duchovny quit. Big Texas Comic-Con. They booked Ian Somerhalder and Paul Wesley from Vampire Diaries. So, those guys dip in and out of the creation ecosystem, and it looks like they're finally breaking free. I mean, to be fair, I'm not sure how much can they squeeze, how much more blood can they squeeze from the Vampire Diaries stone. In the show's been off the air forever.
I know creation has kind of pivoted now. That's more like a Vampire Weekend than it is like the Vampire Diaries. So they do like True Blood people. They've tried to they've extended to other vampires. Of course, the one vampire they've gotten away from is the one vampire that I still need, and that's Joseph Morgan, who I've chased for years. But again, I've had chances. This is where I deserve no sympathy for half of my big, targets, because I've had chances, and someone like Greg 2600 would have gotten them, 15 times over. and I'm like, I'm not going to go this time, and I miss out.
So if you're shopping for autographs, check out www.markedoutcollectibles.com or our eBay store at Marked Out Collectibles. To contact us for any reason, please email markedoutcollectibles@gmail.com or join the Marked Out Autograph Collecting Community on Facebook. All links are in the show notes on Facebook and Substack. If you want your event, product, or brand advertised on episodes of Marked Out Radio, reach out to us today at markedoutcollectibles@gmail.com. Get your Marked Out Radio merchandise on our Pro Wrestling Tees shop. See the link below or check out the pinned post on Facebook. Please subscribe on YouTube, Spotify, or Apple Podcasts and leave a rating and or review. You can leave a rating or review on Apple Podcasts. You can rate individual episodes on Spotify or leave comments on there. Or you can leave a thumbs up, thumbs down, or a comment on YouTube. All engagement is appreciated. So let's get to the Marked Out vocabulary word of the week. This is a word that I hear you use often. I definitely use it less frequently than you do, and I definitely cringe when you use it because it's so domain specific, and I know that that there's definitely some wiggle room on what it means here. So the word du jour is, or I guess of the week, not just of the day, is vendor. So can you just explain what you mean when you refer to someone or us as vendors?
An individual or entity or group of individuals that bring talent to a show that they are not responsible for selling tickets to, booking the venue. They don't run the actual event. They just buy a table and they bring in a talent. The way you bring in a table full of t-shirts. The vendor is selling their wares. They are not the show operator. To me, a promoter is the person that's promoting the event. Tom Unger is the promoter. Eric Sims at Big Event is the vendor. We are the vendor. Anyone that isn't booking the venue is a vendor. And the one that is the promoter.
So one of the things that gets me a little bit squishy on this term is that it really is only used in the context of wrestling shows. You just don't hear people outside wrestling shows using this term.
And that's because the entire booking system is different. Instead of vendors, you have agents. It's the same basic concept. Sean Clark is the agent, not the promoter.
It's a little bit different, though, because there are also what you would consider vendor guests at Monster Mania, people who pay for a table. Sean Clark's agent guests, they're not paying for their table. They're still booked by the promotion. But like Eugene Clark pays for his table. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, in that case, I guess he would be a vendor guest at Monster Mania.
Right, if you use wrestling parlance. What I'm saying is they don't use that terminology. And I think sometimes that's what gets people a little bit confused. The term vendor guest or being a vendor as it relates to con guests is really a domain specific. It's really for wrestling shows only.
So what's a more inclusive way of saying what I say?
I don't know. I don't know what term in-house they use for a Eugene Clark type guest. Or like sometimes I'll give you an example. Who do we see at Pittsburgh? The Power Ranger, the girl from Terrifier, or the Power Ranger, right?
I didn't see a Power Ranger.
Yeah, the red Power. I forget his name. One of the Red Power Rangers. He also had a table, where they pay for their own table. They do their own thing. They're not beholden to the show at all. So they're outside of the normal booking structure. So, and we're going to get into, how the booking of guests works a little bit later on in the show. So not too much later. It's actually coming up next. So maybe this will help clarify a little bit about how this all works. So this is for the next segment. This is based on a question that Richard Lowe's asked a while back, and I think it's a really important question because we got into some arguments about it with regard to like Tom Kenny and that whole post that blew up last week. So he asked, "Can you guys break down the business of booking a person, the cost, everything that goes into it? Maybe some hypotheticals without using names. Just talk about how the structure works and things of that nature." So the truth of it is that there are a lot of different ways that you can bring guests into shows, a lot of different ways. And there's pros and cons to doing it each way. So we can speak to a couple of different ways. There are other ways that are a little bit more opaque to us, because we've never done it personally. We've only heard how they're done. So, should we start high dollar to low dollar or low dollar to high dollar?
Let's go low dollar to high dollar. Let's move
All
on
right.
up.
So the I would say the lowest, cheapest way to book a guest would be on a 50-50 split. And so basically what that works is someone low level like us would pay full price for a table at a con. Big event, or even something like I'm trying to think of another example, not even a wrestling show. This is mostly wrestling, I think. KenCon, stuff like that. You pay for a table and you tell the talent that you will handle the expenses. You will pay for the table. You will pay for the 8x10s. You will even often pay for their travel or their lodging, or their meals, but that's also negotiable as well. When they get to the table, you do a 50-50 split, meaning whatever comes in, half goes to you, half goes to the talent. The idea being the costs come out of your half, the talent just gets the money, and then whatever money you have left over is your profit from that endeavor. How did I do?
You did well. If we were going to actually teach a class, I would say never, ever, ever use the word "I will pay expenses," because you shouldn't lead. And you're the one in this pair. You're always the one that's the more hard-nosed negotiator. I'll sometimes negotiate with myself in my head that I'll want to make an offer that I think is going to be accepted, whereas you'll make an offer that I'll think won't be accepted, and usually it's accepted. So I'm learning from that. But you never, if you're doing, I don't think the average 50-50 split, at least not the ones we've done, there's been some 50-50 splits that we've given them not a dime for gas or anything. You make your way there, and that's your same way we made our way there. So that should be the goal. And then obviously with the photos on the back end, then like you try to get some stuff done, the extras that are left over. But since you're not paying them anything, you got to be kind of creative and good about how you get that done if you're able to. But I think you nailed it. I think that's what a 50-50 split is. And then I know you always see those pathetic losers out there, the vendors that you can't even think of their names because they're brand new and they're dumb. And you'll see them book someone that would have done a 50-50 split otherwise. And I'll text this to you routinely and be like, oh, damn, they ruined this person. Because they're giving them a guarantee. And once these low-end talents start getting tastes of guarantees, they start thinking everyone's as dumb and markish as the person that gave them a guarantee. And then it's harder to get 50-50 splits.
So the next level up from a 50-50 split is a guarantee.
Yes.
And so when we booked, Vanity Project, for example, they were on guarantees, and they were not very big. We can be honest, they were not very big, but they were guarantees. And the way it worked was we paid them a flat fee in cash in hand before they signed a single item. And the idea being they're going to sign, and usually it's for either a period of time or a number of pieces or some combination thereof. And so the way we did it was you would sign for X number of hours, and then in addition, you would sign Y number of pieces for us at the end of the night for our personal inventory. So that's the pretty standard way of doing a guarantee. Now, you can do a low dollar guarantee like we did for Vanity Project, or one of the promoters who's kind of infamous for doing high dollar guarantees is Tom Unger, who is known for giving a guarantee to, and he talked about this when he was on the show, he'll give a high dollar guarantee to a guest, and the way he makes money is by having them agree to sign a very, very high number of extra pieces in the back room, either on their break from the show floor or after the show is over.
Yeah. And just to sort of detail, when we were doing Vanity Project, I'm going to ask you this question, and I know the answer to it. I think you're going to answer it the way I'm thinking. When we were deciding to book Vanity Project, why did we offer them a guarantee rather than a 50-50 split? As a vendor, which I know you hate that term, why was it in our best interests to go guarantee?
Because what we really wanted was inventory from them. And when you're doing a 50-50 split, when you're doing a 50-50 split, the talent isn't really working for you. The talent is working for themselves, and you're just splitting the money. And so the talent, and we witnessed this actually happen. A good example is One Man Gang at Big Event. But when you're working a split, the talent can change the terms of the agreement at any time, and there's really nothing you can do. But if they're working on a guarantee for you, then you're the boss, and you have control over the number of pieces they sign. You have control over lots of it. And also, it sort of, I thought with the Vanity Project anyway, and I've proven right on this, that the money wasn't really in the appearance. The money was in the pieces after the fact. And so that's why I prefer to do a guarantee with them.
That's part of it. The way I was looking at it, which is I'll just throw this out there. I knew, at least with Jackson, that we were going to come out better on a guarantee than we would splitting. We would have made less on a split because the popularity of Jackson in comparison to our rate was going to, we were going to come out on top, and he was thrilled with the payday because it was a good amount of money for him at that stage of his career. So we were all winning. So that was also my logic. But yes, the pieces is a big part of it as well.
And so again, a guaranteed dollar booking is pretty rare, and you really don't see them very often at the big cons. So that's why you see them at wrestling cons, and that's why a lot of times wrestling fans often have a misunderstanding as to how price structure works at other cons. So, for example, for Vanity Project, we set the price for Vanity Project because we controlled every aspect of the booking. They were not, whether they sold 10,000 units or whether they sold nothing, they were getting paid exactly the same. And so what was charged for them was determined by us entirely.
Agreed. Well, although I want to throw out there as well, at least for us on the 50-50 splits, I know I always told the 50-50 split what we were charging. I never went to them and was like, hey, how should we price this? We kind of just went to them and was like, here's the pricing. And they said, okay, cool. So it
we also, if we didn't do anything outlandish.
No, I think if we were going to do $5 combos. Yeah. If you're doing normal things, you could still establish the pricing and it'll be agreed to. But there's no agreement on a guarantee. We could have given Vanity Project away for free. They wouldn't have cared because they had their money. It didn't matter.
And then we look at someone like an Olivia Hussey booking, which is a little more complicated. So because Olivia Hussey was at Chiller, and we have no inroads at Chiller, there was an agent / booker at Chiller that we were working with very closely. And so here's the way the Chiller worked with Olivia Hussey, the booking. Olivia was guaranteed to make at least 20. Well, actually, let me rephrase. She was guaranteed to make $20,000. That was the agreement. And so her travel and her expenses would come out of the money that she made on top of $20,000. Whatever was left would go to us.
So I know this, but I want to just make sure this is clear because you just said a whole lot of words right there. So essentially, the first $20,000 was hers to sort of meet her guarantee, and then $20,001 on, and everything after 20 was then you, and you would not have gotten a penny if it would have stopped at 20,000. And what would have happened if you only made 19,000?
I would have owed her money. Well, actually, Tony would have owed her money because Tony, of the 20,000, Tony put up 5.
But someone would have owed her money. So if you make less than that guarantee, the celebrity is not going home incomplete. They will be whole, and it will be all of you, Tony, Chiller Agent, you guys, depending on the nature of the deal, you would be the ones being shaken by your ankles to make that person whole.
Right. And so after she got her money, then the money went towards travel, which I got reimbursed. And then, we came up a little bit ahead on her at the end of the day. That was a high guarantee. That was scary. And by the way, I think I mentioned this before, but in case people don't remember or whatever, I didn't say it. Part of the agreement was we had to give her a $10,000 advance to get her on the airplane, because that was a last minute thing. She refused to get on the airplane unless she had an advance. So, which by the way, they dropped on us at the last second. So also for that, I put up 5 and Tony put up 5. So we actually got that money back first. So to be fair, because she got the advance, when we got the table money, that was the first money paid back to us. Was that?
And the advance, the 10,000 advance was out of her 20. It was not in addition to. Okay.
Correct.
Again, I know this. I'm just painting this clearly for the people listening.
Then you have your typical guest, which would be like a Tom Kenny or your average chiller guest or whatever. They're brought in by an agent. The agent gets 10% of the take. The talent gets 90% of the take. And the agent and the talent work together, determining what the talent's menu is going to be for that day. Because the talent... Now, are there some talents who say, yeah, agent, you figure it out. I don't want to be bothered? Yes. So, but they also do that for the reasons of plausible deniability. So I think it's really, 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 really important for people to understand. If there is a menu at a show like Steel City or New York Comic Con or... Rhode Island Comic Con, almost to 100% guarantee the talent will have had some say or almost all say in determining that menu. If they tell you otherwise, they're lying to you. And the reason why they're lying to you is because it seems uncouth to charge that much money to their fans.
Yeah, and let me just to sort of throw this out there and drive it home a little bit more. Chiller Theater has a little blurb on the top of their page. It has been brought to our attention that some guests are telling fans at the show that Chiller tells them how much to charge for autographs and photos. This is untrue. Chiller Theater does not make any money from the guests signing at their tables, so we have no need to tell them that. If a guest tells you this during the show, please tell a senior staff, so we may confront the individual. That part is laughable. Confront them how? Who gives a crap? What are they going to do? But that's the same thing you're saying. Chiller is not setting prices and not making money from anything at the table. That is not anything that the show is doing. And the celebrities maybe make people think that because it's easier to blame someone else.
Right. And so, again, when Tom Kenny is charging $200 to do a tattoo, that's because he doesn't want to do it. And so if you want to pay $200, fine, he'll do it. That's it. That's what that means. This is not a thing where his big bad agent is preventing him from doing that. It's just not how that works. The agent works for the talent. The agent works for the talent. That's the relationship. It's the talent could fire the agent tomorrow. I mean, the agent could also stop working with the talent if they were difficult, but that's the direction, that's the vector of the relationship. And so it's important to understand that the celebrity controls what's going on here almost entirely.
And I'm going to go one step further. You said that Tom Kenny's charging $200 for a tattoo autograph because he doesn't want to do it. I think even more nefarious, I think Tom Kenny is aware, and I've made this point before, that if you are, no offense to anyone with tattoos of autographs, but if you're deranged enough to get an autograph tattooed on your body, you are deranged enough to pay $200 to get that autograph. Because where are you going to draw the line? You didn't draw the line at putting it on your body permanently. So I don't think he's avoiding doing it. I just think he thinks he's going to exploit and make as much money as he can out of the loyalists of his fans. I'm not saying that negatively. I'm actually proud of him. That's what you should be doing. You should be pricing everything on your menu. You want to find that sweet spot that it's realistically the highest you could charge and still have a good stream of sales, but that the buyer is going to think you're doing them a favor. You don't ever really want to do a buyer a favor. You want to make your best sale, and you want to compete and you want to hang with the other companies so you make more sales than they make. So I'm not bashing him for it, but it's no one forcing him to do this. He just is thinking, in my opinion, that the people will pay it. So why not ask it?
Typically when something is priced that high, it's because, I don't know. You might be right. I don't know. That wasn't the vibe I was getting, but I could see it going in that direction.
You might be right too. I don't know. I just don't think he would give a crap if you went up to him and said, "I want 10 tattoo autographs. Here's $2,000." I don't think you're going to hear a sigh as he's doing it. I think he's going to be pretty happy. It's a nice sale.
Yeah, but I think it's really important. The largest point to understand here is the talent sets the prices, unless it's a guarantee. If it's a guarantee, look, when I went to, and you used to see all the time, and you see this less now, But when I went to the car dealership years ago and got Rey Mysterio, the car dealership paid him a guarantee and the autographs were free. Now, you don't see that as much anymore because a lot of talent simply will not agree to that. They will not agree to the arrangement of signing for free because they believe that dilutes their autographs value on the secondary market. This wasn't a thing in 2007 for much of the talent out there. It's become a thing now. And so once in a while, you'll see a professional athlete do a signing, or maybe it's a part of their deal with like a sponsorship, a company, and they'll have to do a signing. But it's very, very rare as part of a convention signing that a talent does not have direct input into its pricing, unless it's a downside guarantee.
All right, so I think it's I think there's one question that the listeners might have a little confusion on. I think it's the last point that's maybe a little foggy. How, if you are a convention goer, how could you perhaps spot or recognize the 1%, 5%, whatever of the convention, celebrity convention guests and situations where the convention would be controlling the pricing based on the nature of the deal? Is there any way for a consumer to recognize that?
That's a really good question. I'm not sure. Do you have an answer to that?
I don't. I was kind of hoping you did.
No, I don't think. No, I don't think there's a way. I think if once you're a little bit inside and you know the people who pay guarantees versus the ones who don't, and then you hear rumors and stuff,
I think that's about as good of an answer as you can give. That's what I had in my head, and I was curious if you had some other little like nuanced way. But yeah, I think that's about as good as it gets on that one.
No, I mean, look. Let's put it this way. Look at Chill Out. There were the Fresh Prince guests were brought in by two different agents who basically collaborated on the pricing, so all the pricing looked the same, even though these guests surely were drawing different amounts.
Yeah, and that's a double-edged sword because I mean, sometimes if you're if you're representing the lower of the low of the talent and you're matching these prices, I mean, you're kind of throwing your one person out there on an island to do nothing.
So just to give an idea, so to answer Richard Lowe's question directly, I'll just walk through exactly what happened when we booked the Vanity Project for Big Event. So we had already booked them for Wrestlecon, and for Wrestlecon they were in the area, and so they drove in. For Big Event, it was a little bit trickier because they were originally in the plan was, because they were in ID, they were entitled to a free flight home from WWE from Orlando. And the plan was for them to use that free flight home to get to Big Event. And then they would figure out where to get next. And because they each had different things to do the next day. And so we were not going to have to pay for travel. That was the plan. So we were going to give them their guarantee in cash, and that was going to be it. And they were going to come sign for us. And we were going to pick them up from the airport. Well, what happened was Brad and Jackson were able to get WWE to change their flights. And so Jackson and Brad were flown on WWE's dime to Big Event. Ricky was not. And so we bought Ricky's flight. He basically just abandoned his WWE paid for flight, and we bought his flight to Big Event from Orlando. Then I picked them up, all three of them, from the airport. We got to Big Event, and then it became a situation where they needed to get out of there. Now we had not agreed to pay for any of that. They were manning their own transportation as part of the guarantee that we paid them. And so Brad decided to stay on Long Island for a day, and then make his own way back home. And so Brad, we just dropped him off at the train station. Ricky wanted to take an Amtrak back home, and so we got him to the train station. I gave him detailed directions for how to get to the Port Authority to take the Amtrak. Jackson was in a pickle. He was supposed to stay locally because he had a show the next day, but because of the MSG booking for WWE, he needed to get back to North Carolina for gear. And because Jackson had done well that day for us, I decided that it was in our and his best interests to cover his flight back to North Carolina. That was not part of the original agreement, and he really argued against that. He wanted to pay for it himself, but I was like, stop it. It's fine. And then we had to drive him to the airport and put him on the airplane. So that was our money for that show. But those guys are weird because they wouldn't even take money for food from us.
I have one question. Did you really send smokes to the Port Authority for Amtrak?
Nah, Penn Station. The New Jersey Transit is what I'm sorry. No, because it wasn't Amtrak. He was taking the bus. He was taking the Greyhound. I said Amtrak. I meant Greyhound.
Didn't he have one of the off-brand buses? I remember I was making fun of him. He had like one of those buses that picked you up on like 11th Ave. Like one of those random bus stops.
Oh, I didn't even know that.
Yeah, and I made fun of him because I took one of those types of buses for a skiing trip, and it was awful. And I remember I was teasing him, and he wanted to take an Uber from Brentwood to there. And he's like, it's only going to be $130. I'm like, are you serious? Only?
The train ticket's $12, $15.
Yeah, I'm like, you're out of your mind. That's not an only. That's a lot. But
Gen Z.
Yeah, and he had a nice guarantee from us. I guess to him it wasn't all that bad. But
you had to blow the whole guarantee on nonsense.
I agree.
But that was how we booked one of those guys. You know, if it's someone like who else do we pay a guarantee? Sandman. So Sandman was different. Sandman told us his price, and for that price, he would drive in from Philly. Sandman's a little different. He agreed to do pieces for us, and then every piece we had him do, he complained about it and hemmed and hawed. It's just different strokes, but he did drive in. He was on time. Nowadays, I hear Sandman won't even take a guarantee. He'll just come in and pay for the table himself. He thinks he'll make more money that way. And also the difference between us paying Sandman a guarantee, and this is the truth, when we paid Sandman a guarantee, we set the pricing. And so Sandman repeatedly said to us, you should be charging more for this. It's a figure. Now, my Sandman impression is not great. Now that Sandman brings himself in, he pays the vendor table himself. Try going to Sandman's table, he'll charge you whatever he wants. So it really depends on the arrangement at the time.
Yeah, I've been selling. I had accumulated a couple of like extra Sandman things since we had him out, and like I have no desire to deal with Sandman again. I love him, but I don't want to be on that side of the table. So I've been selling like unsigned stuff, just because what I got is what I got. Hell, I even sold a signed Sandman thing the other day from our signing and my personal stuff I got done. And that's honestly its own entity altogether. Now you have the different vendors out there, which I'm not really passing judgment, but you have like there's certain vendors now where like, Jimmy Hart and the Dudley Boys and the Steiner Brothers, and there's certain talent that like come in with different people. JBL, Ron Simmons. I don't actually think the Dudley Boys are affiliated with like Tony Hunter, but there's different people that when you go to the vendor table, more and more of them now are getting like that. Sergeant Slaughter hits you over the head with this crazy fees on these certain items. There's a lot of people that as a collector, I'm not really getting much stock or anything I want done from a lot of these people because I know I'm never going to get it done affordably. So it's like, I'm not going to do it. But I think we answered the question pretty damn well. I hope Richard's a little clearer on that.
Yeah, I think we did our best on that, and hopefully this will spur additional conversations. But it is kind of annoying when people talk about booking guests as if they know, and it's very, very, very clear after they say one or two things that they have absolutely no idea how guests are booked. It's especially frustrating. Like that one dude was like, "I've done this before. I'm in the business, and I know how it works." And it's like, well, clearly you don't, because you're marking out thinking that the guest has no idea with what's being paid when the guest knows. I mean, how do you not know? You're sitting there with when the money's flying around and the signs are all there. They know.
I'll say though, thank God for the purged posts. I wonder if back in like 2010, if I was busy telling Terrence and James and all those guys things that I thought I knew, and why don't you do it this way, and why don't you do this? I bet if I could go back and read some of the things I said back then, 15 years ago, I'd probably roll my eyes. And
back then, to be fair, Terrence and James, all their guys were coming in on guarantees, all of them. They weren't doing.
I know, but I'm saying, I'm sure I was even saying like, oh, this price is this. $20 combo is too much. It should be this. Why don't you do that? Charge less. I'm sure I had a lot of stupid feedback that if I was on this side of the table back then, I would have been ripping myself, saying, well, you don't know what the hell you're talking about. I'm sure of it.
All right, other questions. We have a couple other questions this week. So Leo Dean has a good question. When doing a piece that has multiple characters, not a one-sheet movie poster, like a picture that has a bunch of characters on it. Like I had a Heroes picture that had a bunch of characters on it. Or like my white collar with a bunch of characters on it. Do you ever hesitate? Because one or more may be hard to get. Like say Andrew Lincoln from Walking Dead. Or maybe someone might die or something like that. Or like, so Leo, he did a Lost Boys shot and then Brooke died. And so now he'll never get him because he got Kiefer first. And then so he's always hesitant to do these multiple shots with like people on it. Are you hesitant to do like cast pieces that aren't logos and that aren't posters, but they have pictured characters?
No. As my Tito Santana autograph on my Wrestlemania 1 print shows, my thought process is essentially get what you can. It's better than nothing. Although, I mean, within reason, I wouldn't get I wouldn't get a Forrest Gump poster signed by like the cashier from a random store that was in the movie for 30 seconds and really do that. Although I say that, and then I have a Pirates of the Caribbean poster signed by one of the random pirates, and that's probably just as dumb as what I just said. So maybe I do that. But yeah, I get what I can get. I would try if there's like I don't do like photos necessarily of like people. Like if I was doing that, I'd probably try to shy away from the image that would have someone in it that I know I can't get. But if it's like the scene or the scene that I like the most, I guess I wouldn't not do it. I just do what I can do and make the best of it. I know you're going to come in completely different on this.
I don't get those types of projects. I just don't do those types of projects. I won't do them. But I'm not going to lie and say I won't do them because I'm afraid that I might not complete them. I won't do them because I generally don't like them. When I did white color, I just happened to. That was the thing I printed out, but I really don't do that, you know. So,
and what do you mean by that? By those kinds of projects? Are we talking like pictures with like people on them?
Yeah.
Okay. They just meant things that you can't I get you. Okay.
No, the pictures with a lot of people on them. That's not something I really do. I do movie posters, or it has to be like a very odd thing, like a TV cast kind of situation, and I just don't do them. I don't have many in my collection like that.
I'm a poster guy. To me, it's just more aesthetically pleasing. I don't always do full size. And honestly, on my full size, like now I think I'm going to try. You made a point on our long drive back from Pittsburgh that really like resonated with me. And it's like, I don't know why I haven't been thinking Laserdisc first. I would go to Walgreens sometimes in a pinch, or, I mean, you couldn't really get a Laserdisc in a pinch unless you got lucky with the local stuff. But I've spent more money on prints, or at least equal on prints, that I can get for the actual Laserdisc. Like, why am I doing this? So I'm trying now. Laserdiscs are going to be my first line of like movie poster thing. Before prints, before full size. But that's what I like. I'm not really a fan of like promo shots. Even in wrestling, I don't really do the promo shots.
And finally, last question. C-Rat, what would be your top 3 pieces of life advice for young Finn?
I'm gonna ask you to go first because I don't know if I should be like sticky and like combo related, or try to give like actual like helpful tips.
What do you mean you don't know? Are you waiting to see what I do?
I mean, if you're telling him, if you're telling him to like some poignant stuff that's gonna maybe give a perspective that's gonna help him genuinely, and I'm telling him don't hesitate to spend all your money on Hasbros. I mean, I feel like I'd be doing him a disservice. Or maybe that's what I should do. I should be the opposite side of the coin. But I'm going to let you take it first, and I'm going to see how I respond.
So I would say the most important, I don't 3 pieces of advice is high. That's a lot. I don't know if I can come up with 3.
You want to collaborate on one? We each do one, and then we share one?
No.
A switcheroo of advice.
This is the stuff that I always tell the teenagers that I work with, so it's nothing particularly different. Um, Try to be as best as you can aware of the strengths and weaknesses that you have, both in terms of what's been given to you by others and also what you're born with, and don't shy away from trying things that you think you might not like, because you really don't know what's out there if you keep your world very small. If you only tried the things that you're pretty sure that you're like, or if you only tried the things that are kind of nominally related to the things that you've experienced, you will never really experience anything that is truly new. One of the things that changed my life was recognizing that the world is in fact not very small. That the world is very big, and it's only as small as you make it. That there's extraordinary opportunities, extraordinary things to see, places to go, people to talk to, if you open yourself up to those possibilities. And to put it through the lens of combo hunting, which is I think important, given the content of this show, I will never say no to traveling for something that I want to do, whether it's a concert or a meet and greet or anything. Out of the inconvenience of it, or the fear of doing something new. I will always, if it's too expensive or if it's not reasonable, or if I have something else to do, at that time, that's one thing. But I will not close myself off to things that are potentially meaningful, without you really thinking them through first. I really don't want to close myself off to anything. That is how new experiences are made. I am immensely glad that I went to San Francisco for the night to see Kids in the Hall and see that show and be part of that show, and I thought it was great. I'm immensely glad that I went to WrestleCon for Kawada. And it wasn't WrestleCon; it was that other the Starcast. That I went to Starcast for Kawada for the day. I'm glad that I did those things, because I would have regretted, not giving myself the opportunity otherwise. So that's my piece of advice. Don't close yourself off to things.
So was that 3? Was that 1? Was that like one cumulative?
That was 1. I'm only doing 1.
Only doing 1. All right. I'm not sure how many I'm going to do. I'm going to see how this goes. The first thing, I'm going to try to be pretty serious with this, because you were, and I think that's actually going to be more helpful. I think, obviously, Finn is at an age where who knows if he's going to really care about combos in 5 years and 10 years. But I think right now, and I hope that when he looks at what he's doing right now with his father, he sees it more as the adventure and the time with his father than he would necessarily like accumulating the combos, because time has a way of moving, and you wake up one day, you don't really care that much about the autographs and the photos, but I mean, ultimately, don't take for granted the time you have to go on these trips and go to Wrestlemania and go to Ken Cons and different things with your dad. That's cool. And that's not something that you will always have that opportunity to do. So even if that sort of changes in what you want to do, never lose sight of the adventure and the actually doing things. I think that's probably the coolest part of all the stuff that they do together, is the fact that they are doing it together. So I hope he keeps that in mind. And just to be a little lighthearted on the second piece of advice, you don't even, let's say Finn has been bitten by the combo bug. Maybe the combo gods have converted him and he is a combo chaser for life. You don't want to be class 316. You don't want to be sleeping in your car. You don't want to be throwing rotting pieces of pork into the woods to feed the forest critters like he sent me yesterday. You don't want to be completely deranged in your pursuits of these combos. I think you can be, slightly deranged, more on my level and less of like a Jerry or a Class. And I would like to think me, Jerry, and Class are separate Maybe people are out there rolling their eyes right now. Maybe we are all one and the same, and I just do different crazy things. But don't lose yourself as much as we all enjoy this stuff. It is luxury goods. It's not that important, and you don't want to lose sight of like building a life that you can sort of be proud of without this. Like, this should not be your only thing. The same way you said before that the person that's only known really as a Giants fan is never really a well-rounded or normal person. You want to be normal. And I guess last but not least, since you gave the advice that you normally give your teenagers that you teach, I'll give you the same advice I give the teenagers I teach, which is going to be different than yours, which is ultimately don't get arrested, don't go to prison, and don't ruin your life in gang activity, because it's bad. I don't think... I'm going to assume... So Finn, no Latin kings for you. Just avoid all that.
Oh my god, the way you did it for a second, what? Yeah,
that is the advice I give. Again, different place, different needs.
All right, so what's coming up for us next? What is the Larry Johnson Long Island Watch Party? And you have to say this without giving anyone any free advertising.
There is the bar on Long Island. I gotta talk like caveman. Bar, Long Island people.
Yeah, you got a hippo.
Yeah.
Hippo it.
Yeah, but actually I probably should hippo it because I don't need more people there. But yeah, he's doing a watch party for the Knicks playoff game 3. I will be there. Yeah, and I'll probably harass the promoter that I'm not allowed to give any free plugs to anymore to bring in Spreewell and Canby. If the Knicks playoff run is long, like I hope it is, I need those two brought out to Long Island. So I'm gonna grab his ear. I'm gonna harass him. I'm not usually that guy. I hate to be that guy. But
do they make any money off these things?
Well, how I think it works, I think the bar pays him to bring these people in because the bar wants people to come into the bar.
No, I get it, but is anyone buying food and drink at the bar?
Well, I mean, the tables are booked. Like they do the tables through Open Table, and like when I show up, like the tables are full. People are eating. People are at the bars drinking. There's also the just weird people like me that just walk in to get on the line for the photo op and then leave. There's always going to be people like us. They can't really enforce it, honestly. I mean, hell, if they try to enforce anything, I can just get a free glass of water and tell them it was something that I finished. Like, how are you going to prove I bought something? But yeah, so I don't know how the bar really does with it. They're doing fine because they're bringing.
I guess they wouldn't keep doing it if they didn't.
Yeah, I guess they like it. They've had a bunch there. I didn't even go to a couple. There was a Yankee one for Jabba Chamberlain, who I have already. They're bringing out a couple Mets that I frustratingly went to Mulcahy's and paid like $80 for, and they're now at this spot 10 minutes from home for free. And I'm like, I don't really need another photo op, so I'm probably going to stay home. But it's like, holy crap. You can never know. But, imagine if I would have been busy that night and I would have gotten them for free now. That would have been nice. Yeah, but yes, I will be there watching and partying. And by partying, I mean standing on a line waiting for a photo and then leaving.
Chiller Theater, we're still going to attend. We got to post the details for the Sharpie social this week.
I'm gonna do it. I was debating, should I wait until people are like traveling home from Mania? Like, if I post it today, is it gonna be like lost in the shuffle? Probably.
Yeah, post it like Tuesday or Wednesday. That's fine.
Post it. Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie though. I'm very disappointed, and I will definitely have a puss on my face at Chiller, given these cancellations.
Were you even getting Judd?
Probably not. That's not the point. It's the principle of it.
And I also listen. Hold on. I'm throwing this out there now because people are going to listen before I post this graphic. It's going to be Saturday night around what time do we say? 6 p.m.
6 p.m.
6 p.m. It's going to be in the area. So if you are going to Chiller on Saturday, which most people do, this is your opportunity to watch me sweat over a check and to talk about the hobby. I think for Chiller we're going to see a good turnout. Steel City was weird. The out of town people were traveling back. Most of the people I think went back that night. We stayed. So if you're making that drive back, you're not breaking bread with us. You're driving home so you don't crash and die. So I get it, but I think Chiller, we have a lot of Jerseyites, so I think we're going to see some people.
Fan Expo Philly, we talked about that earlier. You will be attending with Ira. I will not be attending. Josh Gates live, that's a whole other ball of wax we already discussed last week. Any movement in your head on Altoona?
I don't know. I still don't really want to do it, but I mean, I'm not saying I'm not going to do it. I'm just not. I don't know how I feel about it. I got to take pictures with wolves. I really
want to do it. I really want to do Altoona. Do we have to negotiate with like Altoona for steel or something?
I didn't even think of that. I don't even know. Am I even going to want to do steel? I'm flying back from Jamaica Friday.
You're the one who said you wanted to do it.
Yeah. Here's the deal. This was gonna be my move. I don't even think you knew this. I was gonna make you. Obviously, the next steal is you because I drove this one. I was gonna force you to drive to Altoona because it's your baby and this is your show. But if I want to go out and look for like large boulders that I can pick up and put in my trunk for my yard, I like landscaping my yard with big rocks, and there's a ton of big rocks out there. I can't make you drive around and then fill your car with rocks. Like that's not happening. That's deranged. So if I'm really going to have time to go looking for rocks, which is even saying this, Finn, don't be like me and go out looking for rocks. There's your fourth piece of advice. I need my car if I'm really going to go rock hunting. I don't know if we're going to have time to go rock hunting. It depends if we're staying over. If we're staying over, I could rock hunt before I eat. So it might be my car then. But I may end up trading you a steel commitment for an Altoona commitment. I just got to see I hope steel does something next couple of weeks so I could know if I want to do that myself.
Demented. Fanatics, I still have not committed to Fanatics, and I'll probably end up committing to it, but I haven't yet.
Ridiculous.
It's too expensive, and it's not that exciting, to be honest.
What are they doing with the Knicks and like Klay Thompson? There's a couple of these guys. They're not on sale this week. They say coming soon. And it said coming soon for the last drop. And it's coming soon for this drop. They have dates locked in, it seems. Like, what's going on? It's a little weird.
No idea. It is. So we're still wrestling with Terrificon and Steel City. And I am still working out the kinks for my plan regarding Simple Plan and Keanu Reeves. I still do not have my plan yet. And I probably will not have my plan until well into the summer.
Crazy. A-list over non-A-list.
So if you're shopping for autographs, check out www.markedoutcollectibles.com or our eBay store at Marked Out Collectibles. To contact us for any reason, please email markedoutcollectibles@gmail.com or join the Marked Out Autograph Collecting community on Facebook. And once again, right now, we do not have any signings coming up. But as the great Classics 316 would say, you never know. What we do have coming up is in about a month, our 100th episode, which is crazy.
Yeah. And I was sort of doing the math in my head. I hope the 100th episode doesn't fall on like a con weekend. Are we doing coverage on that episode? Or are we just going to go into complete just bedlam and insanity for the 100th episode that we have?
Do a Class 316 This Is Your Life, like Sesame Street?
We find the old chicken bones of Clucky.
Yeah, go crazy.
I never named it Clucky. It had no name.
All right. So we good?
Yes.
All right. So for markedout.com, Marked Out Collectibles, Marked Out Radio, I'm Sean.
And I'm Dana.
And we'll see you at the Sharpie Social at Chiller Theater on Saturday.